Blog Talk Radio.
And this the music of Lionel Jones, taken from the CD, Papa Jones CD, entitled Expressions. Well, shalom, Israel, and everyone else. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning to you and yours, wherever you are on the World Wide Web. You're listening to Let's Talk, brought to you by the Men Empowered organization on the Blog Talk Radio Network at blogtalkradio.com. My name is Brother Malachi. I am your host and founder of the Men Empowered organization. It is October the 30th, 2013. If you'd like to join in on our show conversation, or if you'd like to just make a comment, you can hit us up while we are here live at 347-205-9279. And when we're not on the air, you can always give us a call at area code 504-484-9388 or 601-297-2927. Our email address is menempoweredtoprosper@yahoo.com. And follow along with us right there on Twitter.com. It is Men Empowered at Twitter.com. I'd like to say once again, you can follow along with us via video at YouTube.com. Subscribe now to JEWEDuP at YouTube.com. We have a visual effect of all our messages brought to you by JEWEDuP right there on YouTube.com. Tonight, we are getting ready to get into chapter 68 through 70. I am wired up and ready to go. So, thank you for joining with us the other night. We apologize again. Just couldn't make it to get in the studio last night. But we are charged now. We're ready. We're ready to get into the book of Jasher. What do you know about the book of Jasher? The book of Jasher is mentioned in Joshua chapter 10, verse 13. So if this was mentioned by Joshua, where is the book in our King James? Well, if you know information like I know, it has been deleted. Also want to let you know of our commentary right here in the greater Hattiesburg and Lowell, Mississippi area on the original Urban FM WJMG FM 92.1 every Thursday at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. Got some powerful information every Thursday on Fresh 92.1. We'll be right back with the beginning of the book of Jasher, chapter 68.
Cleaning out my closet, mixtape.
Yeah, to everyone listening, what's going on? Eshawn Berg, let's go. Yeah, a 1-2 y'all, and you don't stop. Say 1-2 y'all, and you don't stop. A 1-2 y'all, and you don't stop. Grinding for peace, you know we are the sure shot. A 1-2 y'all, and you don't stop. Say 1-2 y'all, and you don't stop. A 1-2 y'all, and you don't stop. Grinding for peace, you know we are the sure shot. Ain't just talking about it, man, I'm living a life. You know I'm walking around with the spirit of Christ. Yeah, yeah. Hey yo, my reason and my purpose for writing down these words is my brothers on the curb, running after they urges. Some have become herbalists, crack dealers and murderers, cat pillars, act like gorillas and it's hurting us. Already took the earth from us, plainclothes burglars, ran up on the homeland with hammers fan merciless. On the sand, circled us, a full blitz from the boat, they hurried to approach the surplus. Threw us on the block for $1, while the purchase us. Now I hear the cannon burst and bust over my shoulder, man, it's us trying to murder us. Banging over, driving by in a black truck, I don't know what's up, man, for real. Hey yo, I don't know what's up. Can't believe they try and kill their own. Somebody gotta put the king back on the throne. So I'm here to do it. You gotta believe this is more than music. Ain't just talking about it, man. I'm living a life. You know I'm walking around with the spirit of Christ. I'm out there on the battlefield, day and night. Somebody gotta do it. Yeah. But I know the truth is leaking out. Listen to the wind and I can hear what they speak about. Besides screaming out, I got that reefer out. Talking about the next speaker out, man, they reaching out. They ask each other what the boy Jesus about. Say, I know we was raised in the hood, but can we get out? The answer is yes, this is so it's the hand in the tech. Can produce tears, blood and sweat, just like the compression of your chest. Can produce breath, and that breath produce stress. You can produce success. Yes, I bet all of my loot to prove that you blessed. Spend all of my time dropping these rhymes in the U.S. I write the rhymes that show up on the news desk. Get a message to who's left. God, make them new and fresh. Yeah, please God, make them new and fresh. I made it a point to never forget about the rest. Ain't just talking about it, man. I'm living a life. You know I'm walking around with the spirit of Christ. I'm out there on the battlefield, day and night. Somebody gotta do it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. A 1-2 y'all, and you don't stop. Say 1-2 y'all, and you don't stop. A 1-2 y'all, and you don't stop. Grinding for peace, you know we are the sure shot. A 1-2 y'all, and you don't stop. Say 1-2 y'all, and you don't stop. A 1-2 y'all, and you don't stop. Grinding for peace, you know we are the sure shot. Yeah, this how it goes down. It's Sean Burke, South Philly exclusive. Shout out to my man Sty Sharp, Society Park, Cypher Chronicles, grinding for peace. My man Royce in Cali. Yeah. I ain't just talking about it, man. I'm living a life. You know I'm walking around with the spirit of Christ. I'm out there on the battlefield, day and night. Somebody gotta do it.
Shalom, this is Malachi, founder of the Men Empowered Organization. We are bringing you a new weekly commentary right here to the Pine Belt's original urban radio pioneer. Looking forward to sharing with you absolute knowledge and truth. Stay tuned for the day and time exclusively on the original Urban FM.
Read it.
Verse 12. Amos chapter 8, verse 12. And they shall wander from sea to sea.
And they shall wander from sea to sea. That means you're going from this place to this place. Well, let me go over here. Oh, this time, I don't know. I don't like that. Well, let me go over to the Christian church. I don't know. Well, maybe let me go into Hinduism. Well, I don't know. I don't like this church because this preacher said this. I don't like this church because this preacher said that. Let me tell you, if you were in the Word, it wouldn't matter what the preacher would say. If you was in the Word, you'll be able to see over what he's teaching. But you're going from sea to sea, all over the place. Read.
Amos chapter 8, verse 12. And they shall wander from sea to sea, and from the north even to the east.
Okay.
They shall run to and fro to seek the word of the Most High, and shall not find it.
You're going to wish one day you was able to sit in your cushy house and cut on your computer and see the word of the Most High. going to long for that time. You're going to wish you had that opportunity. Soon reading the Bible is going to be against the law of the earth. Soon. Soon. They're moving everyone into a new age movement. And the only thing you can believe in is yourself. Is yourself. And you are being programmed. That's going to be the belief system. Yourself. That's the new age movement. How grim and dark the government of this earth is. That all of them are in league and are in bed with Satan. That's the truth. Not one of them are with the Most High. Why? Because this kingdom was given into the hand of Satan. Job 9 and 24 tells you the earth was given into the hand of the wicked. So in order for you to rule in this government, you must go to Satan to get your power. He tried to offer it to Christ. Christ denied it. But who took it? All the governments in this earth who will soon pay. They live lavishly in this earth off the bones, blood, sweat, and tears of the children of Israel. Yes. But now they have to pay. It's time. All these wars in the earth are culminating. They're leading to their own demise. And we're just the people with no weapons. This is our weapon. The only thing we have is this, Christ, in the name of the Most High, and we'll win.
The music and words of the Gathering of Christ Church. You can find them at www.gatheringofchrist.org. Gatheringofchrist.org. Just want to let you know they have a Hebrew Academy. You definitely want to check that out. A 3-month course taught online, and I am a graduate of. You can get more information if you send an email to gatheringas1, the number 1, at AOL.com. And also the Gathering of Christ Church is right here on Blog Talk Radio. So all you got to do is go to www.blogtalkradio.com/GOCCHURCH. And the music was going to be with Lionel Jones again, but somehow Blog Talk Radio is having technical difficulties. But we're not going to worry about that because we are getting ready to go into the book of Jasher. And when we went to break, we had Esham Bird taken from his Cleaning Out My Closet mixtape. You can just check him out at eshamberg.com or go to cdbaby.com. Always great music right there on cdbaby.com. Well, we're going to read the book of Jasher, getting ready to do this thing because we're winding down all 91 chapters of the book of Jasher, mentioned in Joshua chapter 10, verse 13. Also, we are going to do 68 through 70. We're going to have a makeup. Brother JEWEDuP told me I am missing chapter 59. So we're going to do this Sabbath evening on Friday night at 10 p.m. Central Standard Time, chapter 59 and chapter 59 only. And then we are going to go and get it ready and get it started on Monday, November the 4th. All right, without further ado, let's go ahead and go head on, Brother Malachi, and do this thing. I'm all excited because we are reading the book of Jasher. You now have complete understanding of what you're reading in the book of Genesis, which is only 50 chapters. But when you go to the book of Jasher, it's 91 chapters. Can you imagine how much information is piled in the book of Jasher? The naysayers will say, oh, Brother Malachi, it was not inspired. Oh, really? Well, let me tell you this, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen. We have researched it and found out the reason why, the real reason why they do not want you to read this book is because it is a cover-up of things they've done in the earth. What's done in the dark will come out in the light. So let's get started. I know some Hebrew is saying, man, come on, get started, brother. Read the thing. Too many commercials, too much of music. La-di-da, la-di-da. So we may go into overtime, but we will finish 68 through 7. And verse 1. And it was at that time the Spirit of the Most High was upon Miriam, the daughter of Amram, the sister of Aaron. And she went forth and prophesied about the house, saying, Behold, a son will be born unto us from my father and mother this time, and he will save Israel from the hands of Egypt. Verse 2. And when Amram heard the words of his daughter, he went and took his wife back to the house after he had driven her away at the time when Pharaoh ordered every male child of the house of Jacob to be thrown into the water. This Pharaoh, let me remind you, this Pharaoh reminds me just like Nimrod, with all the evil ways of Nimrod trying to destroy what was about to come. No matter what you do, the word of the Most High will go forth. It will prevail. You cannot stop prophecy. The Most High God has written it. He knows what's at the end, so he backed up and he's watching it played out. Verse 3. So Amram took Jochebed, his wife, 3 years after he had driven her away. And he came to her and she conceived. Verse 4. And at the end of 7 months from her conception, she brought forth a son, and the whole house was filled with great light, as of the light of the sun and moon. At that time of their shining. Verse 5. And when the woman saw the child, that it was good and pleasing to the sight, she hid it for 3 months in the room. Got a blur right here. Let's go on to verse 6. In those days, the Egyptians conspired to destroy all the Hebrews there. Verse 7. And the Egyptian women went to Goshen, where the children of Israel were, and they carried their young ones upon their shoulders, their babes who could not yet speak. Verse 8. And in those days, when the women of the children of Israel brought forth, each woman had hidden her son from before the Egyptians, that the Egyptians might not know of their bringing forth, and might not destroy them from the land. 9. And the Egyptian women came to Goshen, and their children who could not speak were up on their shoulders. And when an Egyptian woman came into the house of a Hebrew woman, her babe began to cry. And when it cried, the child that was in the dining room answered it. So the Egyptian woman went and told it at the house of Pharaoh. Verse 11. And Pharaoh sent his officers to take the children and slay them. Thus did the Egyptians to the Hebrew women all the days. Verse 12. And it was at that time, about 3 months from Jochebed's concealment of her son, that the thing was known in Pharaoh's house. Verse 13. And the woman hastened to take away her son before the officers came, and she took for him an ark of burish and daubed it with slim and with pitch, and put the child therein, and she laid it in the flags by the river brink. Verse 14. And his sister Miriam stood afar off till was not known what would be done to him, and what would become of her words. Verse 15. And the Most High God sent forth at that time a terrible heat in the land of Egypt, which buried up the flesh of man like the sun in his circuits, and it was greatly oppressed the Egyptians. Verse 16. And all the Egyptians went down to battle to bathe in the river on account of the consuming heat which burned up their flesh. Look at the Most High bring forth his plan, and watch. Verse 17. And Bathia, the daughter of Pharaoh, went also to bathe in the river owing to the consuming heat, and her maidens walked at the riverside, and all the women of Egypt as well. Verse 18. And Bathia lifted up her eyes to the river, and she saw the ark upon the water, and sent her maid to fetch it, and saw the child, and behold, the babe wept, and she had compassion on him, and she said, This is one of the Hebrew children. Verse 20. And all the women of Egypt walking on the river side desired to give him suck, but he would not suck, for this thing was from the Most High, in order to restore him to his mother's breast. Verse 21. And Miriam, his sister, was at that time amongst the Egyptian women at the riverside, and she saw this thing, and she said to Pharaoh's daughter, Shall I go and fetch a nurse of the Hebrew women, that she may nurse the child for thee? Verse 22. And Pharaoh's daughter said to her, Go. And the young woman went and called the child's mother. Praises to the Most High. All praises to the Most High. Verse 23. And Pharaoh's daughter said to Jochebed, Take the child away and sucking it for me, and I will pay thee thy wages, 2 bits of silver daily. And the woman took the child and nursed it. Verse 24. And at the end of 2 years, when the child grew up, she brought him to the daughter of Pharaoh, and he was unto her as a son. And she called his name Moses, for she said, Because I drew him out of the water. 25. And Amram, his father, called his name Chabah, for he said, It was for him that he associated with his wife whom he had turned away. Verse 26, and Jolabad, his mother, called cause she said, I have hoped for him to the Almighty, and the Most High restored him unto me. Verse 27, and Miriam his sister called him Jared, for she descended after him to the river to know what his end would be. How many of you know that a Hebrew name has meaning to it? So it's just not something that you just call somebody a name. You name that person among his characteristics. Study the Hebrew culture. Verse 28, and Aaron his brother called his name Abizanah, saying, my father left my mother and returned to her on his account. Verse 29, and Kehat, the father of Amram, called his name Abidor, because on his account did the Most High repair the breach of the house of Jacob, that they could no longer throw their male children into the water. Verse 30, and their nurse called him Abisoka, saying, in his tabernacle was he hidden for 3 months on account of the children of Ham. You know that the children of Ham are the Egyptians. The children of Shem are the Hebrews. They're from Abraham, Isaac, and this is Jacob's descendants are in bondage this day. In Deuteronomy chapter 28, the Hebrew children will go into bondage a second time. And if this is your very first time hearing this broadcast, I want you to take note. This is not about race. This is about inheritance, and it's also about two brothers. In Deuteronomy chapter 28, it says that the children of Israel shall go into Egypt again. We know the meaning of Egypt means house of bondage. They shall go into slavery again, and those people that went into slavery again. Now, don't take it personally. This is truth. This is not about race. This is truth. Every action requires a reaction, so therefore you will see the results of the actions of the Most High when he said, if you do this, because you did this, this is going to happen. And you can read the accounts of the children of Israel going into bondage again because they turned away from the Most High in Deuteronomy chapter 28, verses 15 through 68. And the meaning and the identity of those people in Deuteronomy chapter 28, verses 68 are the so Negroes here in America. You do the research. Who is it, or who are the people that went into slavery a second time here on the earth? Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, those people are your so-called Negroes or your so-called African American. Yes, these are the true Hebrews of the Bible. The people over in Israel today, well, let's just say that's another topic for another time. But you do the research. There are key scriptures in Deuteronomy chapter 28, verses 15 through 68 that identifies us to the letter. Yes, I'm a so-called African American. I don't call myself an African American anymore. I call myself a Hebrew because I have the knowledge. I have woken up to use. Okay, let's move right on. I know I've shocked some of you, but you will get it when you understand the words and the scriptures, not anything that's coming out my mouth. Look at the scriptures. In every pastor that you listen to, you must see where he gets his evidence from And is he going by the scriptures? We are going by the words of the Most High, not hearsay or Reader's Digest messages. We are reading the Most High's words. Yes, the Bible in King James, the King James version of the Bible, not the NIV, not the Living Translation Bible, not this or not that. But that's these different translations, that is another subject for another time. Verse 31, and all Israel called his name Shemelah, son of Nathaniel, for they said, in his days has the Most High heard their cries and rescued them from their oppressors. And Moses was in Pharaoh's house and was unto Bethuel, Pharaoh's daughter, as a son. And Moses grew up among the king's children. Look at that. Jasher chapter 69 and verse 1. And the king of Edom died in those days. The king of Edom died in those days, and in the 18th year of his reign, and was buried in his temple, which he had for himself as a royal residence in the land of Edom. Now, if you do not know who Edom is, it is Esau's kingdom, Edom, or Esau. The Edom, do some research on that. Go back to Jacob and Esau, and you will get that, or they call them Edomites. All right? Sort of like in today's language, like, I'm going to just use this as an example, Alcorn University and Jackson State University. And the nicknames for that, or to coin the phrase at the end of it, it would be Alcornites and Jacksonians, meaning that you of a alumnus of Jackson State University, or a alumnus of Alcorn State University here in Mississippi. Verse 2, and the children of Esau sent to Pethro, which is upon the river. 347-205-9279 is our number. If you're online, I see we got quite a few callers listening via phone. If you are online listening to us on the phone, you press 1 if you like to make a comment, or if you like to do a question. With just about 19 minutes regular scheduled time, we may go into overtime. We'll look at some questions and comments at the end of the lesson, on the end of chapter 70. Okay, let's move on. Verse 2, and the children of Esau sent to Pethro, which is upon the river, and they fetched from there a young man of beautiful eyes and of comely aspect, whose name was Saul, and they made him king over them in the place of Samlah. Verse 3, and Saul reigned over the children of Esau in the land of Edom for 40 years. You see that? Look at this right here. And Saul reigned over all the children of Esau in the land of Edom. They had their own land in that area, and they named it after them Edom, Edom's kingdom, or Esau's kingdom, for 40 years. Verse 4, and when Pharaoh, king of Egypt, saw that the counsel which Balaam had advised representing the children of Israel did not succeed, but that is still they were fruitful, multiplied, and increased throughout the land of commanded in those days, that a proclamation should be issued throughout Egypt to the children of Israel, saying, no man shall diminish anything of his daily labor. Verse 6, and the man who shall be found deficient in his labor which he performs daily, whether in mortar or in brick, then his youngest son shall be put in their place. Verse 7. And the labor of Egypt strengthened upon the children of Israel in those days. And behold, if one brick was deficient in any man's daily labor, the Egyptians took his youngest boy by force from his mother and put him into the building in the place of the brick. My. I got to read this again, y'all. You see how important the book of Jasher is because you have full understanding of what happened in there. All praises to the Most High for his wisdom and knowledge that he has given us to in these last days. Verse 7. Let me go back and let me read this again. Then Pharaoh commanded, verse 5, then Pharaoh commanded in those days that a proclamation should be issued throughout Egypt to the children of Israel, saying, no man shall diminish anything of his daily labor. Verse 6, and the man who shall be found deficient in his labor, which he performs daily, whether in mortar or in brick, then his youngest son shall be put in their place. Verse 7, and the labor of Egypt strengthened upon the children of Israel in those days. And behold, if one brick, any man's daily labor, the Egyptian took his youngest boy by force from his mother and put him into the building in the place of the brick, which his father had left wanting. You see what these Egyptians did. You see what they did to those children, the youngest. Verse 8, and the men of Egypt did so to all the children of Israel day by day, all the days for a long period. 9, but the tribe of Levi did not at that time work with the Israelites, their brethren, before the children of Levi knew the cunning of the Egyptians, which they exercised at first toward the Israelites. Moving on to our last chapter for the night, chapter 70. I know you all are going to be with us on Thursday night to start chapter 71 and throughout. We'll see how far we can go on that. But we've got 51 verses to go before the end of chapter 70 ends out. Verse 1, and in the 3rd year from the birth of Moses, Pharaoh was sitting at a banquet, which Apherinat, the queen, excuse me for pronouncing these words incorrectly. When Apherinat, the queen, was sitting at his right and Bethuel at his left, and the lad Moses was laying upon her bosom, and Baha, the son of Beera, with his 2 sons, and all the princes of the kingdom were sitting at table in the king's presence. 2, and the lad stretched forth his hand upon the king's head, and took the crown from the king's head, and placed it on his own head. Ooh. Verse 3, and when the king and princes saw the work which the boy had done, the king and princes were terrified, and one man to his neighbor expressed astonishment. Verse 4, and the king said unto the princes who were before him at table, what speak you, and what say you, O ye princes, in this manner? And what is to be the judgment against the boy on account of this act? Verse 5, and Belial the son of Beera, the magician, answered before the king and princes, and he said, remember now, O my king, And, O my Lord and King, the dream which thou didst dream many days since, and that which thy servant interpret unto thee. Verse 6, now therefore this is a child from the Hebrew children, in whom is the Spirit of the Most High God, and let not my Lord the King imagine that this youngster did this thing without knowledge. Verse 7, for he is a Hebrew boy, and wisdom and understanding are with him, although he is yet a child, and with wisdom has he done this, and chosen unto himself the kingdom of Egypt. Verse 8, for this is the manner of all the Hebrews, to deceive kings and their nobles, to do all these things cunningly. Kings of the earth and their men tremble. Verse 9, surely thou knowest that Abraham their father acted thus, who deceived the army of Nimrod, king of Babel, and Amalek, king of Gerar, and that he possessed himself of the land of the children of Heth, and all the kingdoms of Canaan. Verse 10, and that he descended into Egypt, and said of Sarah his wife, she is my sister, in order to mislead Egypt and her king. Verse 11, his son Isaac also did so when he went to Gerar and dwelt there, and his strength prevailed over the army of Amalek, king of the, also thought of making the kingdom of the Philistines stumble, in saying that Rebekah, his wife, was his sister. Verse 13, Jacob also dealt tremendously with his brothers, and took from his hand his birthright and his blessing. Now here's where the conflict is. The conflict is between two brothers. This is not about race. The white race, or the Caucasian race, is one race. They come from Esau. Now what you may or may not understand is both of these are brothers. Jacob is the brother of Esau. Esau is the brother of Jacob. Now, you will notice in the book of Jasher, we get why the Most High hated Esau, because Esau did not study and he broke the commandments of the Most High. He did not obey the commandments of the Most High. This is the reason why Esau lost his blessings and Jacob got it. Really, Rebekah really didn't even have to get involved in that. Now, this is my perspective of this, as to my understanding. Looking at all of this right here, Jacob was going to inherit the blessing because he obeyed the Most High. When you obey the Most High, you get the blessings. Now, even though his children fell short in obeying the Most High, our forefathers paid the consequences by going into slavery in Egypt the first time, and in the Americas the second time. Throughout the Western Hemisphere, we've had slavery of black-skinned Hebrews, not Egyptians. We did not come from Ham. Another story, and I'm not going to get into that right now, but I just kind of wanted to set the atmosphere to just kind of give you some understanding when we're reading the book of Jasher, so you know who the brothers are or the sisters are, or who is all the players in these stories here, these true documentations. Jacob also dealt tremendously with his brother, and took from his hand his birthright and his blessing. 14. And he went to Padan Aram, to the house of Laban, his mother's brother, and cunningly obtained from him his daughter, his cattle, and all belonging to him, and fled away and returned to the land of Canaan to his father. Now, mind you, what he is saying in here, this man, Jacob, worked for what he has. His father-in-law was cunning because he said some things about the older daughter should not be single while the youngest be married. Their type of custom on that. Moving on, verse 15. His sons sold their brother Joseph, who went down into the Egypt and became a slave, and was placed in the prison house for 12 years. Now he's bringing up all the misunderstandings and everything that we have did, our forefathers have did back in the past. Verse 16, until the former Pharaoh dreamed dreams and withdrew him from the prison house and magnified him above all princes of Egypt on account of his interpretation, his dreams to him. 17, and when the Most High caused a famine throughout the land, he sent forth and brought his father and all his brothers and the whole of his father's household, and supported them without price or reward, and brought the Egyptians for slaves. Now that is servitude there. That is not forcible slavery like they did into us when they forced us into slavery. That's totally different. This type of what you call slavery, or their interpretation of servitude, are higher. Verse 18, now therefore, my Lord King, behold, this child has rised up in their stead in Egypt, to do accordingly to their deeds, and to thrive with every king, prince, and judge. Verse 19, if it please the king, let us now spill his blood upon the ground, lest he grow up and take away the government from thy hand, and the hope of Egypt perish after he shall have reign. Verse 20, and Belial said to the king, let us moreover call for all the judges of Egypt and the wise men thereof, and let us know if the judgment of death is due to this boy, as thou didst say, and then we will slay him. 21, and Pharaoh sent and called for all the wise men of Egypt, and they came before the king, and an angel of the Most High came among them, and he was like one of the wise men of Egypt. All praises to the Most High, for he is worthy to be praised. Verse 22, and the king said to the wise men, surely you have heard what this Hebrew boy who is in the house has done, and thus has Belial judged in the matter. 23, now judge you also, and see what is due to the boy for the act of his commitment. 24, and the angel, whom seemed like one of the wise men of Pharaoh, answered and said as follows, before all the wise men of Egypt, and before the king of the princes. Verse 25, if it please the king, let the king send for men who shall bring before him an oxen stone and a coal of fire, and place them before the child. And if the child shall stretch his hand and take the oxen stone, and then shall we know that with wisdom has this youth done all that he has done, and we must slay him. Verse 26, but if he stretch forth his hand upon the coal, then we shall know if it was not with knowledge that he did this thing, and he shall live. 27, and the thing seemed good in the eyes of the king and the princes. So the king did according to the word of the angel of the Lord. 28, and the king ordered the oxen stone and the coal to be brought and placed before Moses. 29, And they placed the boy before them, and the lad endeavored to stretch forth his hand to oxen stones. But the angel of the Lord took his hand and placed it upon the coal, and the coal extinguished in his hand. And he lifted it up and put into his mouth, and burned parts of his lips and part of his tongue, and he became heavy in mouth and tongue. Verse 30, and when the king and princes saw this, they knew that Moses had not acted with wisdom in taking off the crown from the king's head. 31, so the king and princes refrained from slaying the child. So Moses refrained in Pharaoh's house growing up, and the Lord was with him. Verse 32, and whilst the boy was in the king's house, he was robed in purple, and he grew among the children of the king. 33, and when Moses grew up in the king's house, Bethuel, the daughter of Pharaoh, considered a son, and all the household of Pharaoh honored him, and all the men of Egypt were afraid of him. 34, and he daily went forth and came into the land of Goshen, where his brethren and the children of Israel were. And Moses saw them daily in shortness of breath and hard labor. Verse 35, and Moses asked them, saying, wherefore in this labor meted out unto you day by day. This is the end of verse 35. We got to go all the way to verse 51. We're going to take a quick, and I mean quick, music break, and we will be right back to conclude chapter 70 of the book of Jasher. Here's Joel McCrae and Irene. And we are back. The music of gospel jazz artist Joel McCrae from the CD Song for You entitled Irene. Well, we got just a few more minutes. We're in the overtime of this particular episode with just a few more verses to go. We will end it for tonight and be back tomorrow with Jasher chapter 71. We are now in the last chapter tonight of Jasher chapter 70, verse 36. And they told him all that had befallen them, and all the injunctions which Pharaoh had put for his birth. Verse 37. And they told him all the counsel which Belial, the son of Beor, had counseled against them, and what he had also counseled against him in order to slay him when he had taken the king's crown from off his head. 38. And when Moses heard these things, his anger, here we go, his anger was kindled against Belial, and he sought to kill him, and he was in ambush for him day by day. 39. And when Belial was afraid of Moses, and he had his two sons rose up and went forth from Egypt, and they fled and delivered their souls and betook themselves to the land of Cush, to Kinkias, king of Cush. Verse 40. And Moses was in the king's house going out and coming in. The Lord gave him favor in the eyes of Pharaoh and in the eyes of all his servants and in the eyes of all the people of Egypt, and they loved Moses exceedingly. Verse 41. And the day arrived when Moses went to Goshen to see his brethren, that he saw the children of Israel in their burdens and hard labor. And Moses was grieved on their account. 42. And Moses returned to Egypt and came to the house of Pharaoh and came before the king. And Moses bowed down before the king. 43. And Moses said unto Pharaoh, I pray thee, my Lord, I have come to seek a small request from thee. Turn not away thy face empty. Pharaoh said unto him, Speak. 44. And Moses said unto Pharaoh, Let there be given unto the servants, the children of Israel who are in Goshen, 1 day to rest therein from their labor. Verse 45. And the king answered Moses and said, Behold, I have lifted up thy face in this thing to grant thy request. Verse 46. And Pharaoh ordered a proclamation to be Egypt throughout Egypt and Goshen, saying, verse 47, To you, all the children of Israel, thus saying the king for 6 days, you shall do your work and labor, but on the seventh day, on the seventh day, I'm saying this for a reason, because it is a commandment by the Most High that we shall rest. On the seventh day you shall rest and shall not perform any work. Thus shall you do all the days as the king and Moses the son of Bathiah have commanded. Verse 48. And Moses rejoiced at this thing which the king had granted to him, and all the children of Israel did as Moses ordered them. Verse 49. For this thing was from the Most High to the children of Israel. For the Most High had begun to remember the children of Israel to save them for the sake of their fathers. Verse 50. And the Most High was with Moses, and his fame went throughout Egypt. Verse 51 and final verse for the night. And Moses became great in the eyes of all the Egyptians, and in the eyes of all the children of Israel, seeking Israel and speaking words of peace regarding them to the king. This is the end of the book of Jasher, chapter 70. Tomorrow we will continue with the book of Jasher, chapter 71. I hope you got some understanding of the words that is coming from the book of Jasher, mentioned in Joshua chapter 10, verse 13. My name is Brother Malachi, and this is the end of our lesson for tonight right here on Blog Talk Radio. Don't forget, you can join us on YouTube by signing up or subscribing to JEWEDuP right there on YouTube.com. And join us again for another episode of the book of Jasher on Let's Shalom.